Welcome to Unveiling Mythical Legends. Hey everyone. Today we're not just talking about ocean creatures, but a deep-sea giant that's both terrifying and fascinating, the oarfish. But before we dive in, remember to hit subscribe, give us a like and share this with your friends. After watching, you'll probably feel a new sense of awe the next time you see the ocean waves.
Exactly. And today's story also ties into one of the most shocking natural disasters in Japanese history, the 2011 Great East Japan earthquake and tsunami. That day, people walking on the streets suddenly felt the ground shaking so violently they could barely stay on their feet. Houses swayed, roofs seemed to drop like heavy soil, and the ocean churned like a frenzied monster, sending waves crashing toward coastal villages.
And it wasn't just the seawater. Just a few hours later, the weather suddenly changed and heavy snow began to fall. The entire village was instantly engulfed by a mix of seawater and snow, resulting in nearly 20,000 deaths and economic losses exceeding $235 billion. Truly terrifying.
But did you know? Even before this disaster, people had noticed strange phenomena. Along Japan's southeastern coast, there were frequent sightings of bizarre ocean creatures with crown-like features, roaming the waters. Sometimes they surfaced, and other times they washed up dead on the shore. Folk legends say they are messengers from the undersea palace, warning humans that disaster is coming.
Really? You mean, the oarfish is one of these mysterious creatures?
Yes, that's them. The oarfish, also called the sea demon, has a flat, ribbon-like body, almost like a ship's hull. That's why Westerners named it Ophichthes, which means fish like a ship's hull. But the Chinese name, oarfish, sounds majestic and kingly, like the ruler of the fish world, definitely more imposing.
Speaking of appearance, does it look like the ribbonfish we usually see?
At first glance, maybe a little, but they're actually not from the same family. The oarfish belongs to the order Lampriformes, family Regalicidae, while true ribbonfish belong to the Trichiuridae family. The oarfish's sides are covered with blue stripes, black spots, and red fin flags. On its head it has 13 elongated fins, and its entire body exudes a majestic presence, long and slender like a cucumber, looking nothing like an ordinary fish.
Wow, such an extreme body shape. Does it serve any purpose or is it just for show?
Definitely more than just decoration. Its dorsal fin helps maintain balance and stability, and also assists it in swimming freely forward and backward in the deep sea. Imagine this, 200 to 1,000 meters down, without scales it's more flexible, and it relies on its dorsal fin to stay stable. This is the oarfish's unique survival strategy.
How long has the oarfish been around? How were they discovered by humans?
The earliest records go back to 1772, during the Age of Exploration. At that time, ships were exploring the deep sea, and a group of sailors spotted a long, massive figure surfacing. They thought it was a giant sea serpent, and some even secretly sketched it. It wasn't until modern times that scientists confirmed, by dissecting oarfish that washed ashore, that it's a bony fish, the longest bony fish in the world. Records show lengths up to 8 meters, and legends even claim they can grow as long as 17 meters.
Wow, 17 meters? That's even longer than a small bus. So I guess they've always been a dream research subject for scientists, right?
Exactly. Sightings have been reported from Spain to the Netherlands, Taiwan, Japan, and even California. But studying them is extremely difficult because oarfish mostly live in the deep sea and rarely appear near the surface. When they do wash ashore, they rarely survive, so almost all specimens are dead. To observe a live oarfish, you need diving and high-tech monitoring equipment.
So even if someone dives down, there's no guarantee they'll encounter one?
Exactly, it's very difficult. For example, in 2000, France built an advanced ocean observation station, originally designed to study seawater color. Scientists discovered that the equipment attracted large fish, including oarfish. One diver, David, was among them. During his observations, he saw an oarfish up close for the first time. He described it as the most unforgettable moment of his life, the massive figure gliding slowly, graceful yet imposing, like a visitor from the abyss.
I can imagine. That must have been so breathtaking it took your breath away.
Exactly. What's even more fascinating is the oarfish's unique swimming style. They swim vertically, using their dorsal fin to maintain balance, instead of twisting horizontally like ordinary fish. This makes it easier for them to stay stable while feeding or hunting. Scientists have also observed that they occasionally lose part of their tail. At first, it was thought to be self-mutilation, but it may actually be an energy-saving strategy, protecting vital organs to survive in the food-scarce deep sea.
Wow, this fish is so clever. I had no idea deep-sea survival strategies could be so extraordinary.
Exactly. Every encounter is an incredibly valuable scientific observation. Diver Robert even saw an oarfish assume a cross-shaped posture during a dive, holding it for quite some time, both as a display and possibly to intimidate other creatures. These behaviors aren't fully understood yet. Scientists can only speculate that it might be to attract a mate or warn off threats.
So they're not just huge, they're intelligent and mysterious. No wonder they've been linked to earthquake legends.
Exactly. But so far, science hasn't confirmed that oarfish can actually predict earthquakes. They do have a keen sense of smell and may be sensitive to changes in underwater pressure and gases, but studying live specimens is extremely difficult. Still, sightings happen every year, and that sense of mystery continues.
I'm curious, how do these oarfish actually live in the deep sea? I've heard they're almost never seen by humans.
Exactly. They generally live 200 to 1,000 meters deep and usually remain hidden from view. Divers like David and Robert have observed that oarfish appearances are extremely rare. You might have to dive 120 times just to see one or two, so every sighting is as precious as hitting the jackpot.
So what do they usually do in the deep sea? Just swim around leisurely?
Not at all. Oarfish move with incredible precision. They use their dorsal fin and body control to move freely forward, backward, and up or down, like underwater magicians. Their mouths open and close constantly, both for feeding and for exploring their environment to find food. Sometimes they even release pheromones, allowing other oarfish to locate them through their keen sense of smell.
Wow, so they can even communicate with each other? That's way smarter than we imagined fish could be.
Exactly. What's even more amazing is that they sometimes lose part of their tail. At first, scientists thought it was a self-defense mechanism, like a gecko shedding its tail. But later they discovered it's actually an energy-saving strategy. In the food-scarce deep sea, keeping the core body and vital organs alive is more important than retaining the entire tail.
Haha, deep-sea survival is really calculated, smarter than many humans.
Exactly. On one occasion, divers observed two oarfish appearing at the same time. One of them inflated its belly and assumed a cross-shaped posture, as if showing off or intimidating other creatures. Scientists aren't sure whether this is to attract a mate or for self-protection, but the sight was absolutely breathtaking and left everyone in awe.
So do they have anything to do with earthquake legends? Many people say oarfish appear before disasters.
That's the most fascinating part. Studies show that oarfish have extremely sensitive senses of smell. They can detect ozone released from cracks in deep-sea rocks or changes in water pressure. But so far, there's no direct evidence that they can predict earthquakes. A research team at Virginia Tech analyzed data from 336 eyewitnesses and compared it with earthquake occurrences, concluding that oarfish are not absolutely linked to seismic events.
So, they're not naturally earthquake-warning fish, it's just coincidence?
Basically, yes. But every year there are still strange sightings, which make the oarfish even more mysterious and captivating. The deep-sea world is so unknown. Oarfish are both rulers and enigmatic visitors of the deep, sparking endless human curiosity.
Wow, the more I hear, the more I want to dive into the deep sea to see them. Is everyone else as fascinated by these giant fish as I am?
If you're also drawn to the mysterious charm of the deep sea, remember to hit subscribe, give us a like, and share this with your friends. Let's explore these hidden deep-sea wonders together. Don't forget, every sighting and study could reveal more secrets of the oarfish, and maybe one day, we'll truly understand why they appear along the coast before earthquakes. Alright, that's it for today's deep-sea story. The oarfish is truly incredible. Next time you see ocean waves, you might just think of this deep-sea ruler.
Alright, that's it for today's deep sea story. The oarfish is truly incredible. Next time you see ocean waves, you might just think of this deep sea ruler.